Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have Don Martin from Sana Commerce joining us, and he's going to be presenting on 3 ways for you to unlock lasting business success. And I know you're eager to get started with the presentation, so before I pass it over to Don, I just want to remind you that this webinar is being recorded, as well as all of our webinars, and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them in the questions box, and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. So now I'm going to pass it on over to Don to kick off our presentation.
Great, thank you very much, Angie, and thank you all for spending a little bit of your time today on the call. Appreciate everybody's attention. And before we get started, I do want to thank Angie for her time and attention to this webinar and getting everything set up. I know that can be a lot of details to organize. So from Sana to Anovia, we just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. So before we get started, we'll go ahead and just do a quick little introduction. Again, my name is Don Martin. I am the Senior Channel Sales Manager here with Sana Commerce, and I have been in this particular space, which is the ERP integrated e-commerce space, for about 11 years, working with both end customers of ours or potential customers, as well as our Microsoft partner network as well. So looking forward to going through today and reviewing some information and getting into our solution. But before we do, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about our agenda. So we're going to be taking a little bit of a then and now approach to start. We'll first take a look at the challenges and circumstances of e-commerce before we faced all of the disruption last year in 2020. Then we will zoom out and look at some practical ways to help address the challenges that came with all of this change. Next, we'll dive into how businesses, just like yourselves that are on the call today, need to adapt to some of these changes in order to try to stay competitive and continue to stay competitive. And then finally, we will head into our Sana Commerce Cloud platform for a live demo and touch on some of the actionable tips that your business can and probably should adopt now to ensure that you're building lasting relationships with your customers for years to come. First, let's look at kind of take a look at things prior to 2020. We know that the world of e-commerce and some of its challenges went through quite a disruption last year, but we'll look at what it has done and what it looks like moving forward into the future for a lot of organizations. I believe that we can all agree that Amazon has had an everlasting effect on all of us on how we purchase things. And those expectations don't all of a sudden go away once we walk into our office every day. As we can see on the screen here, about 75% of B2B customers are making purchases online. That's a staggering amount. According to Forrester, which is a reporting service, the amount of B2B revenue through online channels is expected to grow about 10% year over year. And only 9 years away in 2024, it's anticipated that about 95% of purchases will be completed by e-commerce platforms. So as we're seeing not only currently, but also sort of the wave of the future in the next 9 or 10 years, a lot of organizations are going to be needing to have that interacting tool online to be able to interact online with their customers. In an effort to service clients online, many organizations have put in place an e-commerce platform, but to be honest, it's not working for them as well as it should. These mainstream e-commerce platforms are causing companies a lot of issues because they're not able to deliver the same level of convenience or reliability online that they spent years, and if not decades, perfecting in their offline approach. This leads to eroding trust within and amongst their customers. In fact, about 44% of B2B buyers are experiencing errors in their online orders about every 2 weeks. I'm sure some of you that are on the call today could probably attest to that number if it's not even greater. So just think about sort of the experience your customers are going through, or maybe even the lack thereof. This erosion of trust begins to create long-term negative effects on the relationship and ultimately the revenue as clients begin to look for alternative solutions that provide a better client experience. Leading to compromised success of fear or change of expansion of e-commerce efforts, many companies sticking with the quote status quo while their competitors are evolving into the digital age. What we're seeing a lot of, especially in our manufacturing prospects, a lot of them are in this boat trying to figure out what to do. Do they invest in a new solution? Do they optimize their customer experience? Do they even maybe incentivize their customers to adopt their web store? This was tough enough to sort out. And then obviously last year, the COVID-19 pandemic hit and businesses faced even more unknowns and a lot other disruptors. So with an understanding of how this recent disruption affected many businesses, where does Sana, as an organization, fit into helping with this solution? As we had stated before, mainstream e-commerce solutions that are in the marketplace that are not natively built to be integrated with ERP systems cause some major problems. Here at Sana Commerce, we make your ERP and your e-commerce platform work as one. So we are a platform organization that has a direct integration with ERP systems, Microsoft being the #1 solution that we have integrations with. We do have integrations with a few other ERPs as well. And if you take a look at the overall solution, what it really does is it eliminates some major technology type of silos. So removing the silo of ERP and e-commerce, it removes a lot of unnecessary complexities. And then probably the most important part of these three eliminations is the compromises, meaning that your customers have the ability to interact with you online, whether it's purchasing orders, and we're going to touch on some of the features here in just a little bit, but purchasing product from you, being able to get accurate information, accurate pricing. So the elimination of compromises is, in my opinion, as important as anything on that list. All ERP data is also available in the e-commerce platform in real time. All ERP functionality is also available. So if you take a look at those two groups first, ERP data and ERP functionality, those are really two major important parts of an ERP system and the landscape that's in there. You've got the data, things like your product information and your pricing by customer and maybe transaction history. But then it also replicates ERP functionality. So that is running off of particular business rules that maybe you have set up or in place inside of the ERP system that is allowing the web store to function as well. So as important as ERP data on our platform is, again, I think ERP functionality is just as important. And then there's also always going to be a single source of truth. In many projects that I'm working, this is probably one of the biggest concerns that our potential customers are coming to us with, of having data sort of spread all over the place, whether it's an ERP on one side of it and e-commerce on the other side of it, or maybe they've got spreadsheets, or I mean, even as rudimentary as just sort of in somebody's head and sort of tribal knowledge of things. Having a single source of data is a very valuable part of the overall solution. And then as you are operating and managing these platforms together, having not only having the single source of truth, but being able to manage in one step versus multiple is also very, very important in the efficiency improvement internally for you as an organization. So being able to have a system of truth and then being able to make changes once in one system and not having to worry about updating both platforms. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our demo environment. While I do that, for those of you who may be on the call, does anybody have any maybe quick questions or anything else that we can help with real quick while I'm switching over screens? We'll open it up for maybe a few minutes for questions if there is some. If not, we'll go ahead and get started. Just as a quick test, Angie, can you see my screen okay? I just switched over to our demo system. Is that coming through okay?
Yes, and no questions have come through as of yet.
Okay. All right. Well, while we wait for maybe some questions, if we'll go ahead and get started on the solution overview. And I do want to lay just a few pieces of sort of baseline information or sort of foundation pieces of kind of what everybody's seeing today on the screen. So this is our demo product. This is actually the latest and greatest Sana solution. We call it Sana Commerce Cloud. And it is the latest and greatest product that we have offered. And it was just released back in September. So what everybody's taking a look at today is the latest and greatest platform. It is built to be multi-user, all-in-one solution. And what I mean by multi-user is it is built to be B2C facing. So if you're an organization that sells to the general public, you can have our platform be open catalog and open cart. You can show pricing, you can take retail orders. You're B2C, or what I would consider an anonymous user, just somebody who's not logged in, so they're just on the web store. So it's built to be sort of that audience facing as well. And there's configuration options behind that also, meaning if you said, hey, we're the type of organization that has maybe heavy content pages and we don't want anybody to see anything until they log in, they can control pricing and add to cart features. We have a lot of organizations that have heavy brochure content on the front end of the web store, and we're just the product catalog sort of behind the scenes. We can work with that as well. So there's a lot of ways that you could service your potential customers if you do happen to have B2C or direct to consumer type of business structure. It's also built to be B2B. And what I mean by B2B is B2B would be sort of through a dealer or distributorship, or maybe you sell to other businesses, and those other businesses have special pricing, maybe they have special terms, and those types of logic, as we talked about before, need to be behind login because they're sort of customer specific, right? So we also service B2B as well. The third user experience that we have built into our platform are what we call sales agents. Now, a sales agent would be basically considered somebody that works for an organization of our customers. So let's say a sales rep or an account manager or a customer service rep. They could also have access to the web store and service on behalf of customers. So sort of the typical use case of that is I'm Don Martin, the account manager, and I work for the Outdoor organization, and I have customers that I take care of. I could log into the platform as well as a sales agent and service and interact online with customers, place orders, track their shipments, things like that. So we'll touch on some of those key functionalities here as we go through the specific user groups. But I wanted it to be very clear that it's sort of built to be a 3-in-1. And then basically what we do when we work through a scope of work with a particular customer or particular potential customer is we sort of scope the project out based on their particular needs. We have some customers that are B2B and sales agent only, and we can deploy it that way. We have other customers that are maybe phase 2 for B2C, and they just want to get their B2B site up and running first, and then sort of an all-in-one type of a solution for organizations that service everybody. A few other foundational pieces as well as we go through some of this is on the technology side. We use a technology known as React. React is pretty popular nowadays. You probably don't know what it is, but you've probably been on LinkedIn or Facebook. Those applications all use React, which is basically a single page load technology, which really, as far as the benefit for a user, really is a speed enhancement. Basically, what a single page load is that the whole site doesn't reload as I interact and go through different parts of the site. It's only changing what I'm doing in that particular action. So as I come through here and scroll through different products, come here and scroll through different items, I'm only seeing what's being actioned by that button. So it's not reloading the site. And again, that's really much more of a page and a speed enhancement for your users more than it is anything else. So that is another piece of foundational aspect that I wanted to make. The third point, as we kind of scroll through the demo site here, you're seeing a lot of different parts of the site. You're seeing your categories, product information, searching. That's all pretty standard in e-commerce nowadays. You can scroll through your categories and see your content pages and all that fun stuff. And then there's sort of different elements or segments of the site that you're seeing. This banner here at the front, you've seen your product categories sort of load in. You've got another piece of content here. You've got links here to different content pages, which then end up going to categories. You've got a store locator button here where if you sold your products through a store, you could type in the zip code or whatever is the closest store to your particular address, more content pages, direct product links here. Every element that's on the page is all controlled by our customers. So Outdoor is a customer of ours. It's a demo customer, but they can come in here and control all these levels of content. So they could make these categories three wide and 6 deep if they wanted to. It's now 6 wide and 2 deep. They could come in here and change these content banners here, and we'll walk through a little bit of those pieces as we go through the demo as well, once we get into sort of the back-end admin panel side of it. And then lastly, but certainly definitely not least, is we will spend a few minutes on the control panel. The control panel is basically how you see what you see, and this is obviously our customers that are utilizing our platform. This is how they come in here and change their site design, maybe come in here and update their product information and enrich it, how they set up shipping, payment, and then tax methods, things like that. So we'll spend a little bit of time on here as well, just to give you kind of a peek into the background of things. So the first user group, again, is B2C. So as you can see, as a user, I'm not logged in. I'm again, a B2C user or an anonymous user. I can search and browse, very standardly speaking. I can come in here and view product detail information. And getting back to the PowerPoint from a few minutes ago, a lot of the core data that's on this web page here, so this product detail page for this bike, is all being powered by the ERP system. So if I look at a product name, an item number, maybe retail pricing, maybe I want to show stock availability, all of that data is all being powered by the ERP data. We have a Sana add-on that's installed on the ERP side of our projects, and that's what's powering a lot of our store content. So attributes, maybe document downloads. There is also the ability to enrich your product data. We talked about that just a few minutes ago on the admin panel. That will give you the ability to come in here and enhance some of your content if you want to. As we kind of scroll through this, for demo purposes, I typically don't cover every single little feature. And that's mainly because in 2021, our solution is what I would consider up to speed or up to par with standard e-commerce functionality nowadays. So things like writing a review, printing a product detail page, adding to a wish list, comparing items with other items, that's all pretty standard functionality nowadays. If you ever go on a web store and you see, instead of the categories being kind of top down like this, and you see them on the left side, that's probably a pretty good sign that that's probably an older e-commerce platform. So just to kind of give you an idea of kind of where things are and how things change. So on the B2C functionality, it's pretty standard again. And again, all of the back-end information is coming from the ERP side. But your checkout process would be exactly how you would experience it on any other e-commerce platform. You would either log in if you were a repeat customer. Maybe you're a B2B customer and you want to have access or get access or become a customer. And then the B2C environment is pretty typical with guest checkout. That's pretty normal. Where I would come in here, I would enter my bill to ship to, select my delivery method, pull out my credit card, and check out and buy. Pretty standard, pretty simple on the B2C side of things. When we flip over to B2B, I'm going to go ahead and empty my shopping cart now, and then I'm going to log in as a B2B customer. So again, the definitions behind our customers, B2C would be open to the general public or to the end consumers of your product. B2B would be more selling to another business, and again, or selling through some sort of dealer and or distributor network. So if you have that sort of basic business model, that is sort of what we mean when we say B2B. How that works on the back end of it is your B2B customers would have a specific username and password that would be assigned to them on the website. And then if you go into the admin panel, which is the back-end control panel for the outdoor demo site that we were just looking at, I'm just showing everybody kind of how that connection works. But we're going to get ready to log in on behalf of Dave Dollar. Dave Dollar is a B2B customer. So this is a list of all my shop accounts. By the way, during the initial deployment, these are all imported from the ERP. So that also gives you the ability to sort of data set your customers. Maybe you don't want all of your customers having access to this, maybe just a segment of them. But if we go into Dave Dollar's back-end account, you can set that shop account to be any kind of type. So it's either a customer, a contact, or a sales agent. So Dave is a customer. And it's linked to this ERP customer card. So that's how that integration between that customer specific experience happens. So when Dave logs in, Dave gets to see his negotiated pricing, whether it's sales agreements, trade agreements, volume discounts, customer specific price levels, whatever the ERP is telling us for Dave Dollar, that's what we're able to display on the web store. It's also giving us all of the other pertinent Dave Dollar information like bill to ship to addresses and transaction history and maybe certain products that he can buy, things like that. So it's giving us a very reliable experience for Dave as he logs in. And then you as the owner of the web store can sort of control maybe some additional controls outside of the ERP. So that would be things like, well, Dave and Angie are both sub-accounts to the same contact or the same customer card. So we want to assign them different types of accounts. Maybe when Dave logs in, he can only see product, he can't see pricing. So that's where you could sort of control what your particular users are doing on the website. So that's just kind of a quick little look at sort of how that connection happens. So we're going to go ahead and log in as Dave, and Dave is now in the web store as his own in his own experience. He can still search and browse the site. He's getting his customer specific pricing. One change that happened at login is you saw on the B2C side, it just showed in stock or out of stock message. We're able to turn on actual item availability for your logged in customers if that's something that you'd want to do. So this is showing me actual units available. So if I go ahead and add this to the item, we can also handle some other specific ERP functionalities, things like variances. So if you sold your products in variances, we can also match and follow your unit of measure rules and regulations that you may have set up in the ERP as well. So if I know I want to buy a couple of these and a couple of these, I can add those also to my cart. We can also handle volume discounts. So a lot of our customers say, hey, we have all this business logic on the ERP side in Microsoft, and we want to be able to display quantity available and then also volume discounts based on how much they purchase. So some really great functionality there as well. So this is telling me that this item is in stock. There's only 8 items available left. So if we go back out to our shopping cart, I'm going to clean this one up just a little bit here. I'm going to delete these red boxes here and go with just the bikes. So now I have 2 items in my cart. On the B2B side of things, there's also some specific tools that we've built. We understand that B2B buyers are a little bit different in the than the B2C market. B2C, you typically are searching and browsing and reading reviews and reading more descriptions. On the B2B side of things, it's a little more organized, meaning they typically know what they want to buy, and they just need a quicker shopping experience. And again, everything is being back-end powered by the ERP system. But one specific tool that we have are what are called order templates. Now, an order template sort of acts like a saved shopping list. So let's say I'm a dealer or distributor for Outdora, and I know I buy these 2 items every Monday. And instead of having to come into the site and search and browse for these particular items, I'm just going to create a list of these items knowing that I buy them every Monday. And I'm just going to save them as a template. So instead of having to come through and sort of search and browse and look for these particular items and add them to my cart, I can create an order template. I can log in. I can go right to my templates. There's my Monday template. I can expand it to review it. Yep, these are the 3 bikes or the 4 bikes that I know I need to buy. And then I can add these directly into the cart. And then once they're in the cart, I can still edit that. I can change quantity. I can add other items if I know I'm going to place an item on an order with other items in it. But just kind of a little bit more of an organized approach to ordering for B2B. Again, it's pretty popular and pretty typical. Another tool is quoting. Everything that we're reviewing today is our standard functionality for us. And there's also this quoting capability. So some organizations do quote, some don't. But if you wanted your dealers or distributors to say, hey, I'm buying these 3 items and I just want to get a quote. I don't want to order these just yet. I just want to see if maybe I can get a better price. Maybe I can get better terms on this particular order, whatever the different negotiations are behind that particular order. So I can just submit it as a quote, and that goes into the ERP side, into Microsoft as a quote, and then I can get it approved. I can convert it back to an order, and we'll touch on some of those features as well in just a moment. For this particular order, we're going ahead and just check out and buy. So I'm still logged in as Dave. Here are my build to ship tos. Here's my full address book, so I can select what ship to it's going to, or I can use my main billing address. I can select my delivery method. We'll talk a little bit on the setup for how shipping works, but for demo's sake, we're just going to check this UPS next day air, enter in my credit card information that may be saved, and go ahead and turn on my purchase order, enter any comments on the order, maybe select my delivery date if that's a requirement, and then go ahead and place that order. Now that order is going directly into the ERP system, no more hand keying in orders. Everybody's getting notified, so me, the user of the outdoor site, you, the owner of the outdoor site, we can copy the sales team, we can copy the warehouse team, whatever other groups of people need to be notified on order entry. But the order's in, and now your B2B customers are off doing whatever else they need to go do, and you're getting orders quicker, more efficiently, and hopefully a lot less errors. So once I do that, I'm going to flip over now through to the account dashboard. And another part of our solution that has been productized, by the way, so it is a standalone part of our solution, but it's always been part of our overall product, is the account dashboard section. Now, basically what the account dashboard section is, I'm still logged in as Dave, so I'm still in the site. I'm still seeing the site through my own eyes in a way. And now this gives me access to my full transaction history. This part of our solution, in my opinion, in my experience, is as valuable, if not more valuable, to our customers as the cataloging and shopping cart and ordering, mainly because it helps with, and this isn't an official technology term, it's just sort of the term I use to describe it, is it helps with you and how you interact with your customers. And what I mean by that is typically in the wholesale distribution manufacturing space, our customers interact with their customers typically very manually. And an interaction could be, hey, is this item available? What's my price? And can I buy it? That could be an interaction. Another example of an interaction is, I can't find my last 2 invoices. Can you have my customer service rep email them to me? Another interaction could be, hey, I need to return this item, or did you get that credit note posted to my account, or I can't find that shipment tracking number. All of those things are kind of what I clump into one grouping as customer interactions. And this part of our solution helps to automate that. This gives your customers the ability to self-service. So as Dave Dollar is again still logged in as a customer, I can come into my account dashboard and I can review my entire order history. Now this is web and non-web. So when we install our Sana add-on into the Microsoft environment on the ERP side, we are looking at the entire table. So we're not just looking at web orders. Customers can come in here and review their entire order history. They can drill into each individual order, web or non-web. So this is the one we just placed on the website. So it's showing my full order history. I can even reorder or download this order, so I can reorder right from here. That happens a lot, especially in the B2B space of, hey, I know I placed that order 2 weeks ago, just send me what I ordered last time, right? So it gives your customers the ability to order very, very quickly. We talked also just a few minutes about quotes. And this is web and non-web quotes, by the way. So if quoting is going on in the ERP side and you need to get those quotes out to your customers, this is another really efficient way to do it, where customers can come in here and review the quote, again, whether it was placed on the web or if it was placed manually in the ERP side. Customers can review that quote, they can order from it, and they can even convert the quote to an order on the web store as well. So this is giving them some quote to order efficiency improvements also. Open invoices. So this is on the invoice side of things. Customers not only can view those invoices, but they can also see what is open. And then we even have a payment portal in our account dashboard that will allow your customers to view their invoices, select anything that's open, and actually make a payment. So we push payments into cash receipts as well. Return orders, to be honest with you, in the B2B space, that's pretty rare, but we do have an RMA module that you can turn on. We see it more on the B2C side, but we do have an RMA module, so you could create a return as a customer. We follow your entire return rules. Maybe a customer is selecting the product, maybe they're entering a comment, maybe they even need to download a picture of the broken item, whatever the case may be. We don't see it much adopted in the B2B space. Typically customers want a little more control over their RMAs, but we do have it. Return receipts, so they can also track all their returns, see their credit notes, track their shipments, download the posted shipment detail, and then we talked also about order templates just a few moments ago as well. So, and again, every one of these pages are all pretty configurable. Customers, our customers can turn certain functions on or off. They can make them available by user group. And again, we sort of get into that as we are working through and scoping things out with our customers. The last environment that I want to touch on briefly as well before we spend the rest of the time on the admin panel is the sales agent tool. So we talked earlier about B2C, open to the general retail public. We talked about B2B, behind login. And then the third environment that I do want to touch on are sales agents. So a sales agent, again, would be a customer service agent, account manager, sales rep, or whatever for Outdora, an employee that can log in. And once that employee logs in, they can now represent their customers on the web store. So I'm Don Martin, the sales rep. I just logged into the platform, and these are my 7 customers, and I'm going out to see New Concepts Furniture. Now I am on the web store as if I was a customer. I can see all the products. I can browse the entire catalog, and now I can even order on behalf of my customers. I can track their shipments for them. I can send them their invoices. I can see their account detail. I can come in here to their dashboard and see all their open orders. I can log out as a I can log out as a sales agent, and then instead of representing a specific customer, I can still see all the details across all my customers as well. Excuse me. Now I can see all my orders. I can see all my quotes across all my customers. I can see all open invoices, track all my shipments by customer, and do all of the kind of sales rep type of interactions online as well. So you can log in on behalf and represent that customer, and or you can log out but still stay logged in as a rep and see data across all of my customers. So that's the overview of all 3 user experiences. We touched on B2C, we touched on B2B, and then we touched on sales agent, and just a few other sort of deployment type statements that I want to make here. However way you as an organization need to and or want to be connected to the web store, you can set that up. So we have some customers that have no web presence at all. Maybe they have a standard page on their login or whatever, but they have no content online, they have no store, and we've basically built the entire website for them, content and everything. We have other customers, and let me show an example of that so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. But we have other customers that have already produced content pages. So this is a customer of ours, Cypress Grove Cheese. And if you scroll through their site, all of these pages, our cheese, tasty recipes, perfect pairings, these are all standard content pages that Cypress Grove Cheese built outside of the Sana platform. I don't even know what platform it's on, to be honest with you. So they kept those pages because there was some heavy investment, there was some heavy time that was already involved. And then when you see the Shop Online button, the URL actually changes, and now you're actually on the Sana store. This one happens to be open to the general public, but it could go right to a login page, and we just match the look and feel of their front end site, match the font and the pictures and the layout and things like that, so that the users don't feel like they're going to another site, although in theory, I guess technically they can. So that's another option as well. So we can build the whole product. We can piggyback off of whatever current content that you might have already, or we can be somewhere sort of there in the middle, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to kind of touch on some deployment options. We have customers that question typically comes up during our presentation, but I just wanted to make sure that we touched on this as well. I'm going to flip back over to the admin panel, and I do want to spend a few minutes going through this as well. And there was some pretty heavy advancements that the Sana Commerce Cloud product came with when it came to the overall control of the website. So we talked earlier about some of those content pictures and images and categories and how all that was sort of laid out. But I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the control that you do as a customer of Sana over the overall look and feel. So outside of ERP data, you have 100% control over the content that's on the web store. That could be something simple as just, hey, we just need logos and color schemes updated, and we want to do that ourselves. So you can upload your colors and logos. You can select what font that you want to use. You can select the topography of the site, you know, how big some of the text is from the header and the footer and the display, and all of your sort of page-specific type of elements in content. You have 100% control over all of that. Before I go too far in depth into the admin panel, I also want to make another statement that during the implementation, our customers are put through what's called Sana University, which is a training program that helps you understand our product better, get you trained up on how to use the product, and basically be able to control a lot of this on your own. So it may be a little overwhelming at the very beginning part of it, but you are trained up on how to use it. Managing all the navigation pages. So these would be all of your specific web pages that you can come in here and create and manage. So if I come in here to my content pages, here's the About Us page. I want to kind of dive into that page just a little bit. So here's what it looks like on the back end of the web store. And this is where you can come in here and create your title. You can come in here and create all of these different elements. And if you look very closely, there's all of the different edit column buttons on each element of the web store. So it doesn't really follow a templated type of a purpose. It's basically an open canvas, and then we just give you column tools to be able to work within it. So basically, if I came back out here and I wanted to create a new content page, you're literally managing a content page all on your own. So you can come in here and say, I want the top part to be a column. I want this part to be a picture and a description. I want this part to be maybe some videos. Maybe this part here, maybe that part there, and you're literally building your pages and being able to create whatever content that you want. And then once you get into those elements, now you can upload your videos, you can select your images, your text, your font, your borders of each of those items as well. So again, it's a little overwhelming. I understand that, or it can be, but just know that you're basically working with our visual designer on the website to be able to create these content pages and manage the data yourself. On a product page level, this would be for your items. A lot of times customers will come to us and say, hey, everything looks great. We love the fact that it's integrated into Microsoft, but our data in Microsoft is terrible. How can we help with that? So, or maybe it's not terrible, maybe it's just not marketing friendly, right? Maybe there's data in there that is sort of some back-end, right, or whatever. This gives you the ability to come in and enhance your product data information. So whether it's extending out your descriptions, being able to create meta title and meta descriptions for search engine marketing tools, adding additional images, updating and maybe embedding a YouTube video on your page, things like that. So it gives you the ability to come in here and create some nice enriched content around your products. We talked a little bit about modifying and creating web pages, so I'll skip over that part. Then we also spent a few moments earlier as well talking a little bit about shop accounts and how that works. So when we were on as an anonymous user, obviously we weren't logged in. We logged in as Dave, which was that B2B customer. And then we also logged in as Steve, who's our sales agent. So this is sort of what those shop accounts look like. And again, to be clear, you import these customers during the initial implementation, assign those shop accounts, and then as you acquire new customers, whether the web store does that for you or whether there's some internal vetting that needs to happen first before you give them access to the site, however way your business process works, you can create these new shop accounts, tie them to the customer cards, and have your new customers get on their way on the web store. And then the ordering and checkout process, there's multiple steps and again, multiple controls that you can make on that. Whether it's being able to say, hey, we want our B2B customers to not select a delivery date, things like that, or not to be able to leave a comment on an order, things like that. I know those are pretty simple examples, but this gives you the ability to sort of organize the experience by your customer groups. So same with shopping account, checkout, shipping. On the shipping side of things, depending upon our customer specific needs, you can either allow us to use shipping methods and rates that are inside of the ERP side on those rate tables. We can do real-time published rate calls to FedEx and UPS and USPS. And then you can also create your own shipping methods with your own logic. We see a lot of customers doing that, especially during the COVID situation, where they were buying online but picking up at the warehouse. They would just create that as a shipping method, saying, hey, you purchased this online, but we know you're going to swing by the warehouse and pick it up yourself, or we'll have it outside ready for you, or whatever the situation is. So creating methods like that are also possible and standard in our core product. A few other points that I do want to make sure that we touch on here, I know we've got about 10, maybe 15 minutes left, is the Sana Commerce Insights. This is an add-on to our solution as well. And basically, this is a reporting or analytic tool that's built into our platform to allow the owner of our websites to be able to navigate through some of the data. So whether it's an executive overview, being able to see how many orders, how many customers, what our average order volume is, things like that, who our top customers are, who our top products that were being sold online. So it gives you some analytical data as well. It also gives you adoption and abandoned cart views, which sort of is on the marketing side of things. So what does our customer adoption look like? What does our optimization rules look like? Abandoned carts, how many customers come to the web store, log in, add 3 items to their cart, and then bounce out of the site and go somewhere else, and what's happening, and what do we want to do about that? So it gives you some really, really great data to navigate through some future decisions that you may want to make from the website as well. So this is another new enhancement to our tool also that was just made several months ago. So, and we're looking to expand in on this as well. So really excited about the Sana Commerce Insights. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is our add-on tool. Our add-ons are basically apps for the website. It kind of functions like an app store, although I guess I'm technically not allowed to call it an app store, but it's kind of works that way. As a Sana Commerce Cloud customer of ours, you're given access to all of our add-ons, and these are free add-ons. So whether it's adding a new payment service provider for payment processing, or maybe it's some content elements that we have available that you may want to use. Things like the countdown, right? You've seen those on websites where customers, hey, 9 days until Christmas or whatever. That's just a little plug-in add-on that you can use. The Lookbook. The Lookbook is basically a schematic diagram of product information. I'm sure you've seen that on sites before as well. So if we go over here, I want to show you what that looks like. That's kind of neat. Sometimes we have some customers that sell parts of a whole. So here's the entire diagram of the whole lawnmower. But as a buyer, whether it's B2B or B2C, maybe I just need that item right there, right? Maybe I don't need the whole unit. I just need to buy that part. I can click on the Lookbook tool to be able to come in here and just quickly find that particular part. So that's what the Lookbook add-on is as well, which is kind of a neat tool. Flexi tiles, image sliders. There's your store locator plugin. Here's your team member page. I think we saw that on the About Us page. Just some extra tools around content. Shipping integrations. There's also integrations on the marketing side with MailChimp and .digital. And then Perfion is a PIM system, product information management tool that is getting updated and upgraded right now, actually. So if we have some customers that are needing a PIM, we can work with Perfion as well. And then the product export feed is a tool that we use. We have some customers that want to push their catalog from Sana to the marketplaces like Amazon or some of the other marketplaces online, eBay, things like that. So that's what that product feed export is. So anyway, said all that to basically say, as a customer, you are given access to all of our add-ons, and then you can just sort of plug and play as you need to as well. So Andy, it looks like I'm going to be able to give a few minutes back of everybody's day. So that's really the overall presentation. Again, I'm not sure if there are some additional questions that maybe we can answer. If not, everybody will get a few minutes back today.
Thank you, Don. We do have a couple of questions that came through.
Okay.
If I'm a new customer, if I'm new to e-commerce, how do I get started with a web store project?
So our process is very similar to going to see the doctor, where you typically would engage with Sana, and we go through a pretty heavy amount of discovery and trying to understand kind of where some of the pains of our customers are coming from to make sure that our solution is going to be a good fit for them. So that is really kind of the first step that we take, is really diagnosing the situation of each individual customer, and that's what myself and Alyssa typically do here, where we're going through kind of different requirements that need to be had, and then obviously working if it's an Innovia customer, obviously we want to keep Innovia involved as well. So I would say connect with Innovia and then get connected with us, and we'll go through the process, and we can kind of run pretty fast, as fast as our customers want to go. I kind of say we can dance at the speed that you want to dance at. So depending upon the urgency of a project, we can move through the process pretty quickly. But it's heavy discovery on the front end, and then obviously making sure that our product fits the need of our potential customers before we proceed with the project. We do have a project approach document that we'd be happy to share with people on today as well. So that's kind of what happens after I sign contracts and get started. We have a whole process that outlines the implementation part of our solution as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. A couple more questions. How does your solution compare to others on the market in terms of initial setup and ongoing maintenance?
So I'm assuming that's a pricing question. So I would say significantly less, and the main reason why is, and we touched on kind of that term mainstream e-commerce. So if you were to use an example of BigCommerce or maybe Shopify or something like that, those are fantastic e-commerce platforms, no doubt about it. I think Magento is still the #1 e-commerce platform in the market, but none of them are built with the ERP in mind, and none of those platforms are built from the ERP out. So I would say that's probably, to answer the question, the differentiator. There are typically sync tools that are involved with some of those other mainstream platforms. There's obviously hosting involved. There's outside payment service providers that have to be connected, where our solution is directly integrated and not interfaced. So I would say if you were to really evaluate hosting, annual subscription, setup, you'd probably find that our solution is significantly less than what some of those other mainstream e-commerce platforms are giving. But it's because what we saw today with the integration and what we saw today with the e-commerce tools, this is all we do. So we're sort of riding in this space alone, so to speak. So again, nothing against those other platforms, but they're just not built to do what we do. Now, can they be built? Sure, right? With enough time and energy and effort and financial commitment, of course, but they're just not built that way where we are.
Okay, thank you. And how does Sana handle web stores for a company that is made up of multiple companies?
So our standard deployment is one company file on the ERP side to one site. Now we do have the ability to do multiple stores from a single company, but our core configuration is if there are multiple companies in the ERP side of things, we would have a separate store for each of those company files. I'm assuming that's what the question was referring to.
Yes. Well, I believe those are all the questions that we have for you today. If anybody has any further questions, you can contact your account manager here at Innovia Consulting, or if you'd like to give Don a shout out, you can contact Don. Do you have your contact info?
I do. Let me switch screens here real quick. Well, and again, thank you, Andy, for organizing the call today. Again, I know it's it's not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of effort. So on behalf of Sana and our team, we thank you, and looking forward to working with you more in the future. So.
All right. Well, we are too. Thank you for presenting today.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. And I just want to make you all aware of our new training workshops that we have going on. We have a variety of training workshops for you. So visit our training workshop page, and that's inovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits you. And Inovia has a podcast, if you have not heard about it. It's called the Inovia Conversation. And we want to encourage you to listen to the selection that our hosts, Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski, have provided to us. And you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out our selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when our new episodes air. And Inovia Consulting is going to be attending a user conference. It's called Explore Dynamics 365 User Conference, and it is a free one-day event for you to attend February 24th. And for more details on this conference, visit our conference page at inovia.com/events. And again, we want to thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dawn, for presenting. And we look forward to seeing you on another Inovia webinar.